In the West, if you can save, people call it a lack of discipline. In the Philippines, you can be the hardest worker in the room and still have a net worth of zero. Not because of laziness, but because of a systemic and cultural trap. To an outsider, the Filipino economy is a paradox. You can see a culture of incredible resilience, yet many Filipino families live in a perpetual state of financial emergency. If you've ever wondered why your Filipina partner, Filipino employees, or friends are constantly one crisis away from debt, you've likely been told that they just don't know how to save money. I've discussed in a video that you can watch here how government cash transfers can sometimes fuel dependency. But after reading your comments, it's clear that we need to dive deeper. For most Filipinos, saving isn't a willpower problem. It's a battle against low wages, sachet economy, and a school that failed to prepare us. Today, we're stripping away the myths to look at the factual reasons why the Filipino bank account stays at zero. Let's start with the hard data. The Philippine Statistics Authority, or PSA, reports that 19.4 of employed Filipinos earn only the minimum wage. Depending on the region, that's roughly $7 to $11 per day. To put that in perspective, in January, a loaf of whole wheat bread was 96 pesos or less than $2. By April, it hit 129 pesos or more than $2. Yes, a 34% price hike in just 4 months. When a single grocery item consumes nearly a quarter of your daily take home pay, savings is a luxury that doesn't exist. After mandatory deductions, fare, and electricity, a minimum wage earner isn't failing to save. They are successfully surviving a math problem designed for them to lose. There is also an invisible tax called poverty premium. Because workers don't have the upfront cash to buy a gallon of shampoo, they buy impinge or small sachets from local sari-sari stores. The price per milliliter is actually or significantly higher, which means the poor actually pay more for basic goods. When that math fails, Filipinos turn to 5-6 loan system. This is a micro lending system where you borrow 5 pesos and you pay back 6. That is a brutal 20% interest rate, often collected daily. Most of this debt isn't for luxury. It's for medical emergencies or food, putting Filipino families into a hole they can never climb out of. But what happens when modern technology meets a cashless, strapped population? You get a rise of digital buy now, pay later systems like S Pay Later and TikTok Pay Later. In a country where traditional credit cards are hard to get, these apps democratize micro lending. With just a few clicks, a minimum wage earner can instantly finance the latest smartphone or a new home appliance. The micro installments seem harmless, but the interest rates are compounding. There are a lot of stories of Filipinos who started with a small purchase and are now completely buried in digital debt, running a lifestyle that they cannot afford. When financial escape feels impossible through traditional means, many Filipinos turn to gambling as a desperate strategy. Every single day, millions of Filipinos spend 50 pesos or more on STL or small town lottery. To a Westerner, 50 pesos sound like nothing because it's less than $1. But to a minimum wage earner, That's nearly 10% of their daily income vanished on a bet. And it has expanded. With the explosion of online gambling and e-wallet integration, Filipinos don't just risk their daily change, but they take out massive loans online to chase their losses. It transforms a scarcity problem into a total financial catastrophe. This brings us to a major internal pressure, the fear of looking poor. The Philippines is a deeply collective society where neighbors visit each other daily. If a neighbor buys a new appliance or posts photos of their trip, there is an intense social pressure to match them, even if the money isn't there. This is living above your means as a social survival mechanism. Driven by jealousy or the fear of being looked down upon, Filipinos use those pay later apps or take out loans just to save face in front of their community. They would rather be literally broke and in debt than their neighbors think they're struggling. Why didn't we learn better? In our schools, financial literacy is more theory than practice. In grade 5, Edukasyong Pantahanan at Pungkabuhayan or EPP, we learned how to sew an apron or a coin purse. While we were told to save, it was surface level, like saving, putting coins in a piggy bank or saving money in a bank. We weren't taught about the compound interest, mutual funds, or the predatory nature of these apps and the 5-6 system. Most Filipinos learn how the financial system actually works only when they hit their 20s or 30s and made costly mistakes. Then there is utang na loob or a debt of gratitude that is often weaponized. If a relative helped with your education, they might expect you to be their ATM for life. Furthermore, because the previous generation couldn't save, children are often raised to be their parents' pension or retirement plan. Instead of a young professional saving for their own future, they're backtracking, paying for their parents' past old debts and ongoing lifestyle. I have seen parents demand a specific amount and resent their children because the budget doesn't meet their expectations, perpetuating a generational cycle of financial instability. So why can't Filipinos save? It's a collision between predatory apps, everyday micro gambling, skyrocketing prices, low wages, a school system that missed the mark, and a culture that prioritizes saving face over saving money. Many of us are trying to break the cycle, setting hard boundaries and seeking the digital education we never got in school. But it is an uphill battle. If you're watching from the West, understand that for a Filipino, a savings account is more than just a balance. It is a hard won declaration of freedom from a very heavy history. What do you think is the hardest cycle to break here? Let us know or let us discuss it in the comments below. And don't forget to check out this video on fertility rate shift and see how this impacts relationship here in the Philippines. My name is Art and I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys!